The first question I have here is about using something like a momentum indicator or some other kind of oscillating indicator as an exit condition, right, to close out the trade there. And so, for example here, so let's say you're in a long trade, and let's see, where would we start that long trade? All right, let's start that long trade there. So you're in a long trade, and so, if you're using the momentum, right, you want the momentum rising. But if the momentum, declines, then that would be your exit condition here, right? So for example, right there, right, we have the momentum declining. And so that would be your exit condition. So in a long trade, if the momentum or whatever indicator decreases, then that's your exit condition, right? So we're going to build that in BlackBird here. So let's get BlackBird open, and let's see. So I need an entry order to get things started. So I'll just use a market entry order. Now, to build this exit here, it's going to be a component of a trailing rule. So we need either a profit target that we can add a trailing rule to, or we need a stop loss that we can add a trailing rule to, right? And I guess, since this is going to be an exit rule here, we'll kind of change things up, right? So instead of using a stop loss here, because there's a lot of people that believe that there's stop loss hunters out there in the market. So let's just use a profit target instead. All right, so I'll just make a simple, X number of ticks profit target here. And just to make sure the profit target doesn't get hit too quickly here, I'll just throw it way out there at 40 ticks. Okay, so we have a profit target. So now we're going to go into the trailing actions. And again, you could do this with a stop loss. But I'm just doing it with a profit target, just to remind people, that you can do custom things with profit targets as well. So, all right. So, in the trailing actions tab, we need to change the mode to custom, so that way we can create a custom trailing rule now. So let's add a trailing rule, and so let's see here. All right, so we'll just call it exit on Momo. So exit on the momentum. All right, and the action. So we're going to skip the trigger for now. We're going to go straight to the action, right? So the action that we want is to flatten the position. Yeah, so, all right. Now the trigger, right? So the trigger is what's actually going to activate this trailing roll here, right? We don't want to flatten the position as soon as the profit target's created, right? So we need to put a trigger in here that will compare, the current bar of the momentum to the previous bar back, right? That's how you know if an indicator is rising or falling, right? You take the current bar and then compare it to the previous bar back, right? So with the trigger here, we're going to use price versus indicator. Now the name is, in some instances, the name can be a little misleading here because we're not going to use price. We're going to do indicator versus indicator, right? So, and you can think of the price versus indicator trigger very similar to Bloodhound's comparison solver, right? Because you're comparing Bloodhound input A to input B, right? Same thing as the Bloodhound's comparison solver, right? It's comparing input A to input B, and when it comes to charting, the only thing that you can compare is something above something else, or is something below something else, or does something equal something else, right? That's the only kind of comparison that you can do on a chart. So, all right, so input A, right, that's going to be the current momentum bar. So let's switch input A. So we're going to change it from price to an indicator value. And then with the indicator, we're going to go in and select the momentum. All right, there's the momentum. And of course, I'm just using the default period there. So, all right, so there's the momentum plugged in. Now for input A. Now for input B, right, that's also going to be the momentum. So, all right, input B is already set to the indicator mode here. So we can just open up the indicator list and select the momentum. And where is it? There it is. There's the momentum. All right. Now, input B, we're going to use the displacement and set it to 1, right? So the displacement is another way that we can look back 1 bar. Yeah. So a displacement on the chart, right, takes the previous bar and pushes it forward on the chart. But in programming terms, it's also a way of, it's all relative to your position, but, programmatically, the displacement is a way that you can look back on a chart as well. So, it just depends on your viewpoint of how you're using the displacement here. So, right, input A has a displacement of 0, and input B has a displacement of 1. And so that's how we're able to look back 1 bar. All right, so now getting the modes set correctly. So if we're in a long trade, right, we're looking for the current bar to be below the previous bar, right? So A must be below B. So A needs to be below B, right? A is the current momentum. B is the previous momentum bar. And so for a short, that would be the opposite. So it would be A above B. And there we have it. So it's just that simple. So with that, let's take a little test of it. So let's see. All right, so our momentum is rising, or at least it was. Let's try and go long here. And, oh, you know what? Yeah. If you notice, it closed out immediately because the momentum had actually fallen. But now the momentum's rising there, so now we can go long. There we go. So we might want to put a 1 bar delay in there. So just in case you get into the trade and the momentum is currently, had currently fallen, you might want a 1 bar delay. And there we go. So, all right, the momentum just fell, and then it closed out that trade. So, if we want to add that 1 bar delay, in case the momentum is in the wrong position when you open the trade up, open the position there, we can do that. So let's open up the profit target, go into the trailing actions, and open up the triggers. And we're going to go to the advanced tab here. Let's open this up a little bit. And we want to add a delay. And let's see here. We want to put the delay up top. And all right. Yeah, it looks like Jeremy still hasn't fixed this issue here. So you can see how you can move stuff around But when there's only two triggers here, there's an issue with the menu. So all you gotta do is we'll just add a third trigger here, right? So we can see I have 3 triggers on the menu here. And now I can grab the top one and I want to move it down below. So I want the delay on the top and then the price versus indicator on the bottom. And then this extra delay, right? I just added that extra one just so I could move the items around. We're just going to delete that one now. So, all right, so I wanted the delay. So now I can add a 1 bar delay to, the trigger events. And what we want, let's see, for the mode, let's see, I think we want all in sequence, right? So we want the 1 bar delay to happen first, and then we'll look for the momentum to be rising or falling. All right, so let's give that a shot now. So it's kind of hard to tell. It looks like the momentum is rising, but let's go short. Yeah, so there we go. So we went short and the momentum is rising, and now the momentum is falling, and then the momentum rose here. So there we go. All right. So that's how we can also add, a 1 bar delay, so that way the trade can be open, or the position can be opened, and the momentum is, the momentum is disagreeing, right, with the trade direction. So let's open up the triggers here. All right, so the triggers is really the key to getting this all to work correctly. Right? So again, the action was simple. The action was just flatten position. So it's getting the triggers here to work.